2018 was like a learning, analyzing, identifying issues, and I just had a meeting with my group early this week, and I said, well, 2018 was an education year. 2019 is going to be an application year. So whatever we learn from 2019, we go in 2018, we go to 2019. So last year, something that I'm very big on three-step processes all the time. It's been my key on everything. And last year, we began with the issue where during one of the meetings, we had members of the board of directors. I said, okay, guys, we need to focus on three things. We need to acquire knowledge, and then we need to apply the knowledge, and then we need to share the knowledge. That has to be our driving force in order to improve the processes. How do we acquire the knowledge? Well, we either get a young graduate from the university, top 3 in the class, and so you're acquiring that knowledge. And then you also go with the technology, right? The newest technology. We have sent our employees in the engineering group for different kind of software trainings to come back with certification. So we acquire that knowledge there, and then on the process day-to-day activity, once we go on the floor, then we apply the knowledge that we acquire, right? So once we acquire and then we apply, and we have the formula of the perfect process for this, then we share the knowledge. We go back and say, this is what we did, this is the process that we learned through it, and this is the end result of it.
When I first started at Family Houston, unfortunately I walked into an ending of a fiscal year that was in the red. So I had to make some decisions on how do we, I believe in a balanced budget. I'm one of these, maybe it's because I was raised by a CPA, that you just don't go in the red, you have to stay in the black. So we had to sit back and understand our financials. Some of that meant really, when I first looked at it, was understanding people's positions. Not that you want to just start eliminating positions, but where if you did have to cut back, where do you cut back? You can't. The frontline team, honestly, they're funded. The fund is, you can't cut there because their positions are, in one way or another funded, and so it's really those of us that are funded by, the unrestricted dollars. And so we did have to look at that and make some merging of positions and departments. And then we did the deep dive into, okay, we've got ourselves into a balanced budget. How long will this last? You have to look into the future. And when we look into the future, what do we want to be? Who are we? What are our programs?
And then we have lessons learned at the end of each project. So each department will say, the procurement department is going to say, well, some of the issues that we encounter were this and this and this. We gave a plan how to do it. What do we need to do in order to improve it? So each area will have a say-so in the process. So once we've completed the share process, then we have how to do it next. So, and this is the step that I tell them on the next one. We need to understand what we're doing, and then we need to make sure that we are clear on how to do it, and that's going to trigger when are we going to do it. So on like a 3-step process, make it simple, everybody understands it, make it one-on-one. Every from our financial group, it's important to go to the floor and walk the floor to see what it is that we are spending the money in. When you see the invoices coming in, when you see the payments going out, when you see the welding machine that's been purchased that could be $18,000, and all they think is money going out. No, they have to go and see the machine. They have to see the machine at work, doing the work, right? So all of that engages the employees into owning the process from the floor into the office. So that kind of gives us a little more of a taste of the product that we're actually delivering to the customer.
I do like looking at the financial side of it. I have a phenomenal CFO who I rely probably way too much on because he is so phenomenal at his work. But you have to understand the financials to be able to really understand, are we going to be able to make it? Because the last thing you want is to build a program that the community is dependent on and then cut it. We meet monthly on what we call quality council. So really looking at that data, that, what kind of outcomes and outputs, and outcomes are really movable pieces on a spectrum. If somebody came in and they were in unstable housing and now we've moved them here, that's kind of, an outcome of efforts. Whereas outputs is how many people have we served, how many meals have we served, those are just outputs. And so we do look at those to be able to make sure that we're moving people along the spectrum. Before, there was a thing called assessment. So when somebody would come in, they would get fully assessed and they would be told all of our programs and services. And then they would be plugged into various programs. We merged assessment kind of with our intake, and so the person that's answering the phone now does everything all at once. That was just kind of a process to eliminate some overhead and speed up the process that they get into programs. I vividly remember after Harvey hit, before the floodwaters totally receded, sitting in a meeting at the United Way, and we received funding to increase our case management services to really help those affected by the flood. We had to change processes very quickly. We had to change leaders. We had to move leaders. We're like, and we quit very quickly. My assistant became a case manager because we needed more people. We didn't have time to hire. And we all were doing things, calling people. And so there are times like that force you to overnight look at processes that aren't working, and then there's the slower to come to you something is working or isn't working, and those are the ones that we hope to kind of get out of by meeting monthly at just looking at all the data of what our programs are doing.